Picture this. Your phone hasn't buzzed for 3 days. She's gone silent. Your friends are telling you to move on, that she doesn't care anymore. But what if I told you that her silence isn't indifference, it's actually a test? What if the very moment you break and reach out, you've already lost the game? Today I'm going to reveal why mastering your response, or lack thereof, is the most powerful tool in your arsenal, and how the ancient philosophy of Stoicism can transform you from someone who chases to someone who attracts. We live in a world of instant gratification, text messages, social media notifications, immediate responses. We've been conditioned to react instantly to everything. But here's what nobody tells you. In relationships, the person who reacts first often loses their power. This isn't about playing games or manipulation. This is about understanding human psychology and maintaining your self-respect in the process. The ancient Stoics understood something profound about human nature that modern dating culture has forgotten. They knew that your response to external events, especially other people's behavior, reveals everything about your character and determines your position in any relationship dynamic. Today, we're going to explore how this ancient wisdom can revolutionize your approach to modern relationships. Let's start with a fundamental truth. Humans are wired to want what they can't have. When someone pulls away from us, our natural instinct is to chase, to fix, to reconnect. But this instinct, while natural, often works against us. When a woman goes silent, most men immediately assume the worst. They think she's lost interest, found someone else, or is deliberately trying to hurt them. So they react emotionally. They send that "Are you okay?" text. They check her social media obsessively. They ask mutual friends what's going on. But here's what's really happening in her mind during that silence. She's observing. She's watching to see how you handle uncertainty, how you deal with space, how secure you are in yourself. Your silence, or lack thereof, is being evaluated as a measure of your emotional maturity and self-worth. Think about it this way. If someone's absence can completely destabilize you, what does that say about your foundation? A truly confident person doesn't crumble when one source of attention disappears. They have multiple sources of fulfillment, validation, and joy in their life. The silence becomes a mirror. It reflects back to her exactly who you are when the pressure is on. Are you someone who panics at the first sign of distance? Or are you someone who remains grounded, focused on your own path regardless of external circumstances? Every interaction in a relationship is a subtle negotiation of power and value. When you immediately respond to someone's withdrawal with pursuit, you're essentially communicating, "Your attention is more valuable than my peace of mind. Your approval is more important than my self-respect." This creates an imbalance. The person who needs less has more power. It's not about being cold or uncaring. It's about maintaining your center regardless of external circumstances. Consider this scenario. She stops texting for a week. Option A. You send multiple messages asking what's wrong, apologizing for things you didn't do, trying to restart the conversation. Option B. You continue living your life, focusing on your goals, maintaining your routine, and staying emotionally stable. In option A, you've shown that her behavior controls your emotional state. You've given her tremendous power over your peace of mind. You've essentially said, "I need your constant validation to feel okay about myself." This is incredibly unattractive because it signals insecurity and dependence. In option B, you've demonstrated that while you care about her, your happiness doesn't depend on her constant validation. You've shown that you have a strong sense of self that doesn't crumble under pressure. This is attractive because it signals emotional maturity and independence. Which version of you would you respect more? Which version would command more respect from others? The answer is obvious, yet most men consistently choose option A because it feels safer in the moment. But safety and strength are not the same thing. Stoicism teaches us that we cannot control external events. We can only control our response to them. This principle is revolutionary when applied to relationships. You cannot control whether someone texts you back, calls you, or chooses to spend time with you. But you have complete control over how you respond to their choices. The Stoic approach isn't about being emotionless. It's about being emotionally intelligent. It's about feeling your emotions without being controlled by them. When she goes silent, you might feel disappointed, confused, or even hurt. These feelings are valid and human. The Stoic difference is that you don't let these feelings dictate your actions. Here's a practical framework. Before you send that text, make that call, or check that social media profile, Ask yourself 3 questions. Am I responding from a place of strength or weakness? Will this action increase or decrease my self-respect? Am I trying to control something outside of my control? If you're responding from weakness, seeking to decrease your anxiety rather than communicate something meaningful, that's when you maintain silence. If your action would diminish your self-respect or attempt to control someone else's feelings, that's when you step back. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." This isn't just philosophical theory. It's practical wisdom that can transform how you navigate every relationship in your life. The goal isn't to become a robot, it's to become someone who responds thoughtfully rather than reactively, someone whose actions come from a place of choice rather than compulsion. The reason silence is so powerful isn't because it's a manipulation tactic, it's because it reflects genuine self-worth. When you're not desperate for someone's attention, it's usually because you have a rich, fulfilling life that doesn't revolve around one person's approval. This is where the real work begins, building a life so compelling, so fulfilling, so purpose-driven, that no single person's absence can derail your happiness. This means investing in your physical health, not to impress others, but because you respect yourself enough to take care of your body. When you feel strong physically, you carry yourself differently. You radiate confidence that comes from within, rather than seeking it from external validation. Pursuing your passions and goals with dedication, not as a distraction from relationship problems, but because you have genuine interests and ambitions. When you're excited about your own life, you're naturally less needy in relationships. You have something valuable to offer because you're actively creating value. Cultivating meaningful friendships and family relationships, not as backup options, but because you're a person worth knowing. When you have a strong social network, you're not putting all your emotional eggs in one basket. You have perspective, support, and connection that doesn't depend on one person's mood. When your life is genuinely full and purposeful, silence isn't a strategy, it's natural. You're not avoiding communication to manipulate someone. You're simply not constantly seeking external validation because you're too busy creating value in your own life. This authenticity is what makes the difference between playing games and living with integrity. Games eventually fall apart because they're built on deception. Authentic self-worth is unshakable because it's built on reality, the reality of who you are and what you bring to the world. Now, let's be clear. Strategic silence doesn't mean never communicating again. It means being intentional about when and why you choose to engage. The key is responding to genuine overtures, not breadcrumbs. A breadcrumb is a minimal-effort communication designed to keep you on the hook without any real commitment. A late-night hey text with no context, a social media like with no follow-up, a vague message that could mean anything and requires you to do all the work to maintain the conversation. These aren't genuine attempts at connection. They're tests to see if you're still available on their terms. A genuine overture, on the other hand, shows effort, vulnerability, and clear intent. It might be a thoughtful message acknowledging the silence and taking responsibility for their part in it. It could be a sincere apology if one is warranted. Or it might be a direct invitation to reconnect meaningfully. Not just "we should hang out sometime," but "I'd like to take you to dinner this Friday. Are you free?" The difference is clear. Breadcrumbs are about keeping you as an option. Genuine overtures are about making you a priority. Respond to priority treatment. Ignore option treatment. When you do choose to respond, do it from a place of strength and clarity. Don't be cold or punishing. That's just another form of emotional manipulation. But also don't be overly eager or apologetic for maintaining your boundaries. You maintained your self-respect. There's nothing to apologize for. A strong response might sound like, "I appreciate you reaching out. I've been focusing on my own goals lately, but I'm glad to hear from you." Simple, honest, and centered. Here's your challenge. For the next 30 days, practice stoic silence in all areas of your life. Not just in relationships, but in every situation where your first instinct is to react emotionally. When someone cuts you off in traffic, when a coworker takes credit for your work, when anyone tries to pull you into their emotional chaos, pause. Breathe. Choose your response consciously. This isn't about becoming cold or disconnected. It's about becoming unshakably centered. It's about building such a strong sense of self that external events can't knock you off balance. Start small. The next time someone doesn't text you back immediately, notice your impulse to double text. Feel that impulse, acknowledge it, and then choose differently. Go do something productive instead. Hit the gym. Work on a project. Call a friend who appreciates your time. Remember, the person who needs less has more power. Not because power is the goal, but because self-sufficiency is attractive, healthy, and sustainable. When you're not dependent on others for your happiness, you can love freely without fear, give generously without expectation, and walk away with dignity when respect isn't mutual. Your silence isn't about punishing others, it's about honoring yourself. It's about becoming the kind of person who commands respect simply by how they carry themselves through life. Make it count.